Hey everybody, it's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video. This is one of my favorite types of videos to do every month. It's the What Sold on eBay video for the month of July 2018, in which I'm going to go over with you the most expensive and most profitable items sold in my eBay store. As I'm going through these items, try and pay attention to the details, maybe take some notes here and there, and especially if you're new, I want you to pay close attention to the diversity of items that you see present. It's not all just one type of thing. You're not going to just see all clothes. Even though I specialize in comic books, you're not going to see all comic books or all toys, which I also do a lot of. You're going to see items from all over the spectrum, which is one of the reasons I think that this type of What's Sold video is really good to see and learn from. And that's one of the strategies that I use in my business, is to really mix it up so that I have items from all over the spectrum for my customer base. So let's start at the first item, and we're going to go from number 10 and work our way back up to the most expensive item. So let's start here at number 10. As I mentioned, comic books are my core. It's my favorite type of thing to sell, and this is a comic book like item. It's not a traditional kind of soft cover comic book, but it's a hardcover book that collects very old comic books that are reproduced into one text. And this is DC's Archives edition, Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane. Now, many of you are aware that there is a comic book called Superman, of course, but many of you may be unaware that there was a comic book back in the day called Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane. It's obviously not as popular as the Superman comic books, but it does have a good following, and Superman does feature in the books. And this one, as you may or may not be able to see from where you're at, I will see if I could zoom in on this a little bit here. You'll see here that that is volume 1. That's one of the reasons that makes it sell for a good amount of money here. You can see it sold for $54.99, although I did take a best offer of $47.50 for the book. You can see here another selling feature there is that it is sealed. It's still in the original wrapping. So DC made lots of books like this. They call them the Archives edition. If you could find them, especially if they're sealed, look to picking them up for $5 or less, and you usually can flip them pretty good depending on what issue it is and what title it is. The other thing you want to pay attention with these books that definitely helps sell them more is if you open it up, you will be able to see if it is a first printing or a second printing or a third printing. The first printings sell better than any of the other ones, so that's something you should be sure to check out as well. So put the DC Archives editions on your be on the lookout list. Many of them, by the way, sell really well because they're out of print. And so, DC doesn't make them anymore, so they're hard to find, and collectors, try to accumulate them. So that's the DC Archives edition. And if you're curious on what the back of the book looks like this right here. And you can see here what it's showing you. These are the 10-cent books. These are called the Golden Age of Comics, the 10-cent issues. These are the actual issues that wind up getting reproduced. So this book contains 4 reproduced comic books inside of it. And the reason why they do this, by the way, is because for most collectors, you cannot afford to purchase these books. They're just too expensive. And so to make it more convenient and more affordable for the average person who wants to see what was in these books, this is a great way to do this. I love this idea. You can see here it also tells you on the back which books it's showing you. The Adventures of Lois Lane from showcase number 9 to 10, and Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane numbers 1 to 8. So there you go right there. Alright, so let's move on to the next item here. And this is my Jack Daniels sign. So if you watch my YouTube channel and you've been watching me go to the flea market on the weekends, you will notice that I purchased these Jack Daniels signs. Now this is a newer version. I have not had this one in the past, so this is the first time I've sold this particular one, and did well with it. What I basically look for is, you can see here, these are all one sign. They're 3-in-1. So you turn the direction of the sign depending on the angle, depending on the light, and this is the back of it. You get a different get a different view. This is sealed, as you can probably see here. Let me just click on this a little bit. So you can see it does come in the original seal, and it does have a different girl in each image, which is good for guys who, some like blondes, some like brunettes, some just want a different, some like women with black hair. So, it just depends. Has different types of alcohol products as well. So it really mixes up the diversity with the alcohol. The key really, though, is, I feature the blonde with the Jack Daniels because I know from prior experience with selling these types of signs that a blonde mixed with Jack Daniels sells really well. This sign, and along with the other ones, I sourced them for $10. They cost about $8 to ship, and then the rest of it's all profit. I usually get between $55 and $75 for these signs, just depends on the particular sign. So we'll move on to the next item here, which is military helmet. Now, I found this military helmet in a trailer from a person who, I've talked about this person before. This person that I got this from works for the company Got Junk. So the person goes in and he removes junk from people's houses. They're contracted, and so he could basically take out whatever he wants as part of the contract. And usually a lot of stuff gets tossed in a big garbage dumpster, but if he found anything of value, he would just take it, collect it, and throw it in his own trailer. And then it basically just accumulated to such a high amount that he called me to come over and pick through it and get anything I wanted. This is just one of, over 100 items that I pulled out of there. It was crazy, and I got it for such a low amount. It was unbelievable. So this is already all profit in this item. So this one, $62.50. I might have taken a best offer on this. Actually, no, I don't think so. I think it did sell straight for $62.50. One of the things you want to look in with these helmets, by the way, is flip them over, and you should see hopefully that there is an inner component to it as well, and you could explore that inner component for marking. So for example, you look here, you're going to see that there is a marking, and you could put all this stuff down in your listing, and you could even do some research with it to help identify it. So you can see here it says L3, sorry, let me move that over there, L3, which is a reference to the size of the helmet. And let's see, if we look over here, I think there might be, no, I thought there might have been another marking on here to oh yeah, here we go. So sometimes you have to peel it away, and you see here, you see it says Unicore, and then above it says helmet, and then it gives you some numbers. That's all stuff that you can include in your listing and use to research your item, but you have to peel away sometimes. If you have just a plain old metal helmet, could be an older helmet that doesn't have an inner lining to it, make sure you search underneath. Sometimes you have to take a flashlight to the helmet and look for etchings that are into the helmet. There are little markings and engravings that could also give you some clue as to the age of the item. These ship really well in a, in just a nice square box. Just put some padding around it, and you could ship it out for a reasonable rate. Even though it's a heavy helmet, some of these, could get into a priority box, that sort of thing. So, okay, so that's that one. Move on to the next one. My Funko Pops. I haven't talked about these in a while, but many of you who've been watching this channel for a while are very familiar with my Funko Pop collections that I purchased. This came out of the giant Funko Pop collection that I purchased for $200. If you remember the story, then I do have a whole video on that purchase. There were over 150 Funko Pops that I got for $200. Made all my money back after selling 11 of the Funkos. So this one is pure profit. If you're unfamiliar with Funko Pops, you will see them from time to time at garage sales and flea markets. Most of the ones you'll see there are worthless and you shouldn't pick up. However, if you could buy them in a bulk lot from a collector who took good care of them, it could definitely be worth your while investing in these. You want to try to source them for $2 or less. And so I was able to do that with this collection. The person just built up too many of these and wanted to get rid of them. One of the things about these Funko Pops is that, and I'll show you the sides of them here, is that they are made of this flimsy cardboard and plastic material, so it's very, very easy for them to get damaged. So if you could find one like this one, which is in such great condition, that could definitely be a selling point. But that alone is not going to be what sells it. It's also about the character, and a lot of it is also about the exclusivity of the item. So pay very close attention to whether the Funko Pop you're looking at has a sticker on it. So this sticker right here, let me get back to that screen. This sticker right here says 2016 Funkoween exclusive. Notice how it says 1,500 pieces. That means there's only 1,500 of this particular Funko Pop in existence. So by being limited, by being a cool item, a cool feature of the item is that, again, it's unique to 1,500 pieces, and also by being a cool looking character, that helps sell this for $62.50. Obviously, a great return on investment. And you'll see ones that say Comic Con on it, for example. You'll also see ones that say Walmart or Target or Loot Crate or GameStop. These are all different types of Hot Topic is another one. All these things mean they were exclusive to that brand or exclusive to that particular event. There's ones for the New York Comic Con, so just look for those. Now, if they don't have a sticker on it, that doesn't mean they're not good. In fact, the most expensive Funko I sold from this collection, which was one from the Game of Thrones, was an $80 to $50 Funko Pop. Had no sticker on it. It was just a very rare one. So it doesn't mean that it's not worth anything if it doesn't have a sticker. But so just keep that in mind when you see Funkos. Make sure you look them up. All right, let's move on to the next one. And here we are back at Jack Daniel's again. This one sold for this is $74.99. I think it. One of these I took a best offer on because I didn't put both of them up, but I actually sold this sign twice within days. One of them I think sold for $74.99. Another one I might have taken a best offer for like $69.99 or something like that. But they sold very high, very close to this number. Again, it's just like having these signs is like printing money. I've mentioned this before. I've done a separate video on it, but I'll show you the other images so you're not just looking at that one. But this also has Harley Davidson. I mean, if you think about it, if you're diversifying to the degree that you could combine multiple hot brands and popular topics in one, think about it. You've got Jack Daniel's, you've got a blonde girl with a bikini bottom, a thong, and a cowboy hat looking back seductively at the viewer. You've got a billiards table. Most guys are gonna die over this item and want to get it, and that's why every time I put it up, within days I've got 4 to 5 watchers, no matter how many of them I sell. So they're just great items. Almost anything with Jack Daniel's, by the way, sells really well. Harley Davidson, another amazing brand. So just think again, if you could combine those brands together, it's a guaranteed money if you could find it and source them at a low price. So next item, Crystal Pepsi. If you remember the time I found the Crystal Pepsis, this is the second one of these that I sold. I'm pretty sure I took a best offer on this one, so this one might have sold actually for like $69.99 or something like that. But it sold for a good price, or it might have been like $72.50 or something like that. It was pretty close to not too far off from the number that you see there. In fact, the person who bought it from me was trying to lowball me on it, and I told him, sorry, this is not going for less than $70 because the other one I wound up selling for $89.99. So I wound up getting him all the way up from like an initial offer of $40 to over $70, because you just can't find these around anymore, really. Now, keep in mind with Crystal Pepsi is that they did remake it from 2015 to 2017 because there's such a cult following for this item and people wanted it back. But you could look at the bottles to tell which one. They didn't make this this glass type of bottle in 2015. This is from 1992, 1993, unopened. Notice, a little strategy there in terms of, kind of shake it up just a tiny little bit just to get that little bubble going there. Just kind of gives a little effect for the item. Um, just when we're taking these bottle pictures, make sure you take a picture of all the sides of the item. The front, the back, even the top like that. Uh, Food products that are unopened and that are vintage sell really well. I generally don't use the word vintage for items less than, unless it's in the 1980s or lower, but technically, and we just talked about this tonight on my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The link is down below in the description section if you'd like to join us there. We've got over 1,500 members. But we were talking about this tonight, that technically you can use the term vintage for items that are 20 years or older, although I tend to reserve it for items that are in the 80s. Once in a while I'll make an exception, and this is one because I wanted to just throw another term in there that could help sell this kind of piece. The Crystal Pepsi, if you ever see it, pick it up. I sourced this, by the way, at the end of an estate sale, if you don't remember. This bottle, another full bottle. I've got an empty bottle that's currently on sale in my eBay store for $47.50 right now with at least one watcher. And a couple of other tins. I got all of it for $5, or it might have even been $3, but it was somewhere between $3 and $5 for all of it. So I couldn't believe when I saw this sitting there at the end of the sale by the checkout area, by the way. So this is at like 3 o'clock at the end of the day. This is still sitting there. So you can go check out that video if you want to see it. It actually says Crystal Pepsi in the ad. Check out that haul video. It's pretty hilarious. All right. Let's see, next one. Just sold this one the other day. This is the cast iron fire alarm box. I took a best offer on this one. Believe we went for $84.99 on it. The person offered me $75. So we met in the middle at $84.99. This one actually went out to Australia, which is one of the reasons I love doing eBay's global shipping program, because it also makes it easier to negotiate, because that person is going to have a difficult time from Australia finding another person in the US who has this kind of item, who will sell it to them and ship it to them. So puts me in the driver's seat in terms of negotiating and being able to meet in the middle and bump the price up another $10. So this is a great type of item, a real classic vintage cast iron fire alarm box that I found at an estate sale for just a few dollars. It really is cool. You open it up and you basically pull this lever down right here. You pull the hook down and the gears in the back spin around. You can see them right here. It's got this little plastic area here, and the gears are there, and the gears spin. It's really, really neat. This is the type of item that there you can see some of the gears right here that would spin around. It does not make a noise. The noise can be disabled. But it's really neat. It appeals to obviously people who have a history of working in fire departments, people who like that classic iron industrial look, even restaurants, you could sell this to, who want to have that kind of look in there, or might purchase it. In fact, by me, and maybe by you, there is a sub place, which is actually pretty good. Give them a little plug. Firehouse Subs. So they actually, I was looking around their store because I had this item, and I'm always thinking, what if it doesn't sell online? I'll walk into the store and sell it to them, and or exchange it for maybe several months worth of free subs. I'm always trying to think out of barter too. They would definitely want an item like this for their store. So you got to, just be creative. Just thinking of different places where you could sell your item if for some reason it falls through on eBay. But an item like this is pretty much a guaranteed seller. You find a vintage cast iron fire alarm pull down piece, forget it. I mean, it's definitely going to sell. Just pretty much name your price and you should get close to it, as long as you're, somewhere around $100. It could go for more depending on, how rare it is and, what the characteristics of the item are. All right, so now we're going to go into the top 3, and these are some higher priced items. This is really my first attempt at delving into big, bulky electronic pieces. This is something I sourced recently for $10 at a garage sale. It is a Pioneer 301 CD disc player. Comes with the remote, comes with the instructions, all of which are selling points. If you look here, you can see I take a picture of what it looks like when it is turned on, just to display to the buyer that it does actually work. And also, I take a picture of the back. I take a picture of, the front and the sides. I want to make sure the person just gets all the different angles in there, and so they could definitely get to see what the item is like. This one I was offered 175, and I either took I think I took it for 175. Yeah, it was that's definite. I sold it for 175. I did a whole video on this recently, this item, on how to actually pack and box an item like this, because that's one of the things that keep people away from this type of item is how to ship it. And so check out my video on that that I did recently on how to ship bulky electronics. Just search for that in my my YouTube channel, and you could see how I handle that. Wound up costing about $26 to ship it, so figure $10 to purchase, $26 to ship it, and then you figure there's eBay fees involved, but still, even if you account for all that, that's over $100 for just this one item. And you could see, this is what I talk about in the video, that I mark it, hopefully you could see it, the shipping, it just says free economy shipping. That's to just give you maximal flexibility in terms of what service you're going to pick to ship it later, either FedEx or USPS. The rates are going to differ depending on how heavy the item is, the dimensions of the box, and where the person's located. And you're not going to know where the person's located before the sale's made, so that gives you the flexibility to just pick a general shipping item like that. I talk about this a lot more in my video, so go check that out if you'd like to see it. All right, the next two. The lot of 169 playbill programs from 1971 to 2008. This one wound up negotiating a best offer of $185 for this item, so $10 more than the prior item that I showed you. And 169 items, right? So what I did is strategically, because you can't take a picture of all 169, so what I do to lay these out is I break them into little bundles, and I put what I believe would be the most appealing type of program titles right on the top. So you see I've got Annie, Phantom of the Opera, I've got Lion King, 42nd Street, some older things like Arsenic and Old Lace, just real popular things, Wedding Singer, try to mix up the old and the new. I also try to make sure that the oldest one that I have in there is featured, which I believe is the one that says I love my wife. Or I might have put that one in there just as a joke, because my wife, Mrs. Primetime, is actually the one who found these at an estate sale for $10, I believe. I mean, that's the max she paid for it. It was $10 or less, anywhere between 5 and 10. I think it was 10, but either way, this wound up being a great profit. And you can see here just other things I did strategically. Even though you can't show all of the items, I put this in a vertical stack. Just got to be real careful with it, just to give the person a sense of the amount of items that are there, because you can't really get a good picture of these, and it would just take a lot of time to just lay them out flat. So a vertical stack like that is good. Selecting out some items like this one where you could feature that there are tickets inside of the playbills. Those are also great selling items. You can see there they're dated. This one, for example, here's the ticket, Fan of the Opera from New York City, 1998. So, I just strategically pick certain things, little inserts to feature, like Lion King inserts, different actors or actresses that might have been replaced that night. So all the types of things that I did, other tickets, feature those as well. Just take advantage of your pictures if there's things that, are useful to kind of image that you think might appeal to the buyer. So that's what I did with these, the vintage playbills. Now I did ship these medium mail. That's how you want to go with this. Now someone could hit back at me and say, well, you're not really supposed to sell a medium mail because there's it could be advertisements in there. Big, bulky, heavy item like this, you ship it medium mail, you're going to be okay 99.9% of the time. It's possible that USPS may open it and say, well, you get someone real strict and say, no, you're not supposed to send these out medium mail. But really, your biggest chance of getting nailed with someone opening something listed medium mail is when it's something that's not heavy. It's just a big box, and it's slightly heavy, but they're obviously not books or anything like that inside there, and you're just trying to get a cheaper rate to ship it out. So just keep that in mind in terms of how to ship these types of things. Next thing here, and this is one I made yesterday. This did not sell for $1,000, but it sold for $550. My best sale of the year by far. This is a long, dramatic story into how this all wound up taking place. I'll probably do a separate video on the whole story. I've partly talked about it before in the video that talks about the problems with eBay's auction system. Now, this did not sell on eBay's auction. This sold on, I just put it up, buy it now, best offer. And what these are, if you're watching from my my Facebook group, I put these up the other day, and it's garnered a lot of attention that I sold these for this much money. These are pieces of paper. They are not the actual robots, but what they are, and I'm going to zoom in on one of them so you could see, these are what are called product sales sheets. So in other words, when the company Bandai, who made this toy, and they're called, the series of robots are called Godaiken Super Robots. They're big robots. Some of them are really cool looking, like this one, Tetsujin 28. And these were basically sheets that before these robots came out, that they sent to stores to try to convince the people in the stores to purchase the robots. So they really have a great appeal for collectors, because this is actually evidence of the items before they actually were even available in the stores, and so they're in just amazing condition. I have the complete set of robots here in terms of the product sheets, and they're all in like mint condition. In addition to that, I also had some additional cool pieces, like I had a cool folder that this was kept in. I had some cool sales sheets. Where did I get this? Well, I have a honey hole that I go to, and I'm able to source all sorts of collectibles, a lot of comic books, but a lot of pop culture items like this. The ironic thing is I made a big comic book purchase that day, a lot of other collectibles, and this essentially was thrown in there for free. I mean, I paid for the overall comic haul, and for that I paid like $200 or so for everything, but I walked out with a ton of stuff, and this is just one tiny piece of it. So to sell this for $550 was great. Has been paid for, has been shipped out. So if you could find product sales sheets, I have one right now down here for He-Man Masters of the Universe, for their action figures. So they're out there, they're around. You're not going to usually find these types of things, by the way, at garage sales. You may find it at a estate sale. Where you're more likely to find it is in like some type of, from a collector who's just just selling out their items, or potentially a trade show. You might find them there as well. So that's really it. That was my best item, the $550 sale. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure that I really like to see what people's favorite item was, or coolest item was, or something you wouldn't have thought of to purchase that maybe now you're thinking of to look out for because of this video. I like to know that type of stuff. So please interact with me. Let me know. Drop a comment down below. Really appreciate that. Any questions that you have, make sure you let me know that as well. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, if you felt you learned something from it. Real important to subscribe to the channel. I am 5 people away from hitting 700 subscribers. So please subscribe to the channel, help me get there, or if I'm already there by the time you see this, bump me over a little bit more, because the goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. So I'm hoping I'm on track for that, and I'll keep trying to make good videos for you. The other thing is, make sure I mentioned this earlier, but if you want to join my Facebook group, it's free to do so. All you have to do is go to the description section down below. You'll see the link for the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, and you just have to click join, and that will let you right into the group. As soon as I see it, I get a little notification, and then I hit accept. So you'll be in pretty shortly after that, just as long as everything looks okay with your profile. With that, I'm going to go do some more listings, and I will see everyone at the next video. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.